For the last few years, I've been using a Microsoft Surface Book. I started with the Surface Book 1 and then transferred to the Surface Book 2. And along the way, it's been a valuable technology companion for me to help me run my business, and also the elements outside my business, like entertainment and those kinds of things. And now they've got the Surface Book 3, and I thought we'd have a chat with Robin Seiler from Microsoft as part of their devices business. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing really well, actually. It's a sunny day in Seattle, and that doesn't happen very often.
Well, it's a sunny day here as well, but a very, very cold one. Now, I want to talk to you about the Surface Book 3 because it's one of those premium notebooks that includes so much in it. There were a couple of things in the Surface Book 2 that I would have liked to see included, so I'll talk to you about that and whether you've included them in the 3 or not. But overall, just to tell people about the Surface Book, it's a premium device, but who are the kind of people that are buying this product first and foremost?
Yeah, we think about a range of people when we talk about Surface Book, and mostly the word that we use is really creators, and creation can mean different things to different people. But we think about, for example, developers, people who create code. And when we built Surface Book 3, we spent a lot of time talking to developers and understanding what was really important to them. And so you see things in Surface Book 3 like the massive increase in power and performance. It has up to 32 gigs of RAM. It goes up to 2 terabytes of storage. It has a super fast SSD, which is a big request from developers because that throughput, that I/O is super important to them as they're compiling code. And then also, the other audience that is really important for us here is people who do intensive professional desktop work, things like SolidWorks, Revit, Visual Studio, Adobe, all of those that have significant graphics requirements. And then the third category that we think about is those two groups of people, and then add on the desire to game. Certainly, as we are all in this situation where we're working from different places, we are still working from home, and we've been told at Microsoft that we will probably work from home through October. People are looking for a separation from work and home, and gaming is often that outlet. And so Surface Book 3 gets you to 60 frames per second of your favorite Xbox Game Pass games. And some people don't realize it actually includes the protocol for an Xbox controller. So if you love your Xbox controller, you can actually connect it using the Xbox proprietary protocol and have an amazing gaming experience.
The interesting thing is you talk about creating content. There's been a number of times where I've been leaning up against the wall at a technology conference, just cutting up a video for a client that needed it turned around immediately after their press conference was finished, for example, and it works really well in those situations. There was one thing on the Surface Book 2 that it didn't have was that Thunderbolt port. Have you added that in the 3? Is there a reason why that's not included in the 3 if you haven't?
Yeah, when we build any device, we spend time thinking through who the right customer is for that device. And so when we look at these audiences that I just talked about, creators, developers, gamers, there are a lot of things that are important to them, but generally on discrete GPU graphics is typically the most important. And when you look at what Thunderbolt is used for, usually it is connecting large file shares or offloading graphics. And we put those in the book itself. And so from a customer-oriented perspective, Thunderbolt was not the direction that we decided to go.
Okay. The interesting thing about a Surface Book, the series, has always been that you can disconnect the screen, you can do it quite easily, and then all of a sudden one device becomes 2, a tablet, that you can use, you can draw on it. And it's always been very, very good at doing that. I've never found that I've actually ever wanted to disconnect the screen from the device, but it has made it very, very easy to use my Smart Pen for all the inking that I want to do. Am I the only one that's doing that, or are you seeing that with other customers too?
When you think about building a device and you get focused on that customer, you think through the scenarios that they would want to use. And we have this concept of not interrupting your flow. And when we're talking about flow, we're talking about the ability to get your ideas out into your device, out into the world. And so every point of friction interrupts your flow. And so the ability to write in a natural way is one of the key reasons why we created the detachable top. And so we do absolutely find people using it, mostly connected to pen. But I will relate this a little bit to my life today. I'm a book user. I'm talking with you right now through my Surface Book 3. And I get up in the morning and I do some email at the kitchen table, and I am typing, just like any laptop. But then I work out and I detach my top and I put it on the treadmill, and I have this beautiful 15-inch display while I watch TV. And I have 2 boys, and later they get on and they're watching on a little phone, and I feel a little bit spoiled. But it's such a great experience. And then through the day, I actually work with my screen reversed. And so I use a additional keyboard and mouse to create my desktop. It allows me to put my display at eye height, so I've got good eye contact with the people that I'm talking to. And it creates a very comfortable desktop for me. And then in the evenings, because I love photography, I flip it back around and I do Photoshop on it because it has the power and performance I need to do that. And so through my day, Book is versatile enough to work the way that I want to work in each of those different moments.
It's interesting because it's a premium notebook. And everyone, and I'm not going to mention the other brand, but everyone thought that when you were bringing it out, you were just bringing out the competitor to this other brand. But it's very, for me, it's never been about this versus something else. This is almost sat in its own sort of unique silo in the portable device market, right? It sits there being its own thing, almost creating its own sector. Was that the goal?
It's always the goal. If you think about where we started with Surface Pro, we created a concept that didn't exist in the market. And our idea behind Surface at that time was how can we enable people to do more? And that's really kind of stuck with us all the way through. And the ability for people to do more means being flexible around the way that they want to work. And that customer-centered focus allows us to innovate in areas that you may not think about. And you certainly don't think about only if you look at the competition and try and build on where they are.
It's interesting, Robin, because I'll go back to the Surface Book 1. I used it, and I used it extensively for my business and assisting me with my business. And then like a lot of the products that I use, and for many, and it worked very well. But the real test is when you hand it off to your kids. Is it going to get trashed in the first 3 months and break and all that? But here we are many years later, and it's still going strong to this day. The build quality of the device. Now, you obviously put a lot of R&D into that. You're not just a strong spec sheet, but you actually do a lot of product testing around ensuring that over time it keeps performing too.
Yes. We when we build a product, it's design, development, and quality. Those are the 3 legs of the stool. And if you come to Redmond, we should take you through our quality lab, where we can show you all of the tests that we put our devices through, dropping them from different levels, simulate them, falling off of your desk or falling out of your bag. We have a backpack test for, kids carrying devices and all of the other stuff that's in their backpack that will scratch it up. So yeah, quality is incredibly important for us. And I also have a few Surface Book 1s floating around my house that I cannot pry out of the hands of my family.
Well, Robin, if you come to my house, I'll show you a couple of our tests, which is leaving the device on top of the fire mantle. That one's quite an interesting one. Removing the device from the dog's mouth. There's a whole range of tests we could add to your lab that I'm sure would make things even more interesting. Look, so that's Surface Book 3. Surface Go 2 is another device which you've released as well. Obviously, moving into that straight tablet market. Interesting, because you're not in the mobile phone space anymore. All your apps are in there though, and doing some great stuff there. But you continue to push ahead in the tablet space.
Yeah, different form factors for different people are important because nobody is the same. And optimizing for different ways that people work or think or learn is really important. So when we think about the Surface Go, we think about a set of customers such as schools or children with the environment that we're in, where people are trying to work, learn, and connect from home. We are seeing the world moving from a single device in every household to a single device for every person. If you think about trying to ensure that your kids are learning as much as they can, the ability of a product like Surface Go, which integrates pen with great camera experience, sets you up for success. And with this version of Surface Go, we did a couple of things. A performance improvement. We have studio mics so that we have great sound going into the device. And we increased the size of the display to 10.5 inches. It was previously 10 by thinning the bezels. Of course, it also has an LTE option. In the first few months of working from home, it felt like every time I was on a call, somebody was talking about their internet provider van sitting outside the house, and folks with LTE were pretty happy to be able to stay connected.
Also, just finally, Robin, if I've got the Surface Book 2, which I have, what's the main reason I'm going to upgrade to the Surface Book 3?
There's a few. Certainly from a performance perspective, it's a big deal. Surface Book 3 is the fastest device that we've ever shipped. It's 50% more performance. It has the longest battery life of any Surface device. It has 17 and a half hours in the 15-inch. And when you do detach your screen, it detaches 3 times faster, and we manage the use of the GPU if you have an app that is using the GPU. And so end to end, it's a fantastic experience. And if you go up to, 1 or 2 terabytes to store all of your stuff, that's an M.2 2280 SSD, which means it will scream.
I love it. All right, Surface Book 3 and the Surface Go 2 is rolling out across Australia at the moment, in the world, in fact, to a whole bunch of different markets. Go check it out. It is a very good device. I've been using the 2 for a number of years. The 1 before that, well worth a look if you are most certainly one of the people that Robin mentioned at the beginning of the discussion. But really, in my view, anyone's going to get value out of these devices. Robin Seiler from Microsoft, thanks for coming on and talking about some of your latest devices.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.